Hello. In this video, we will discuss round one decisions for your performance products. And in here, we will follow the same pattern that we followed in the other product segments, such as your low end, your high end, and traditional. To begin with, let's begin with your R&D. This is a little bit of a tricky product because the consumers expect high MTBF, which means high material cost. Ideal position in terms of your performance and size to be higher. That is of high importance for them, which is also going to lead to a higher material cost, but they're price sensitive a little bit compared to your high end and size products. So you got to be very careful as to what you're offering to the consumer based on what they're actually asking. So let's begin with round one. What they need is 10.4 and 5.3. So here the product specs for size are pretty close. So 15.3, and here you want 10.4. So now that's putting you in the third quarter. So here, when you actually see, what you'll also understand is they require 22,000 to 27,000, 43% of importance. However, when you actually look at the material cost, it's pretty steep. $15.95 is for your high end, where you're charging $39.50, while you can only charge maximum of $34.50 here, while your material cost is $15.81. So, it's just 14 cents behind. So how do we make the difference up here? If we actually try to provide the maximum, what they're actually asking, this will go up to $16.36. Material costs way higher than your most expensive product. So what do? You probably have to make an adjustment here. So this would be the easiest one to actually go with. 24,000 is what I'm going to give. Lower the MTBA by 1,000. Though it is of high importance, I cannot afford to provide them that. So that's the kind of decision. I'm putting it right in the middle. It's your choice. You could up it to 26, 27. I'm taking a more conservative approach here, trying to make sure that the customer gets the product that they desire, plus the costs are in check. So $15.48, that saved 48 cents. So now moving on to pricing and forecasting. So as you see here, the maximum price that you can actually charge is $34.50, $24.50. These are price sensitive with 19% importance. Yet my material costs and labor costs are pretty higher because of R&D requirements. I cannot automate the plants too much. So therefore, I am going to charge the highest price bracket in order to fulfill the demand for this particular segment. So we said the parity demand would be 382. So if we actually increase the forecast by 10%, that's going to be 421. So let's say we say 421 is the forecast with a 10% increase over what is desired. Okay, so that's around what we are planning to sell. Now let's move on to your promotions and sales. As we talked about, if you actually go back and look at your production, your contribution margin is the lowest so far. That means you have very limited ability to spend on promotions and sales. Even if you take about 10%, which is the maximum that we plan to spend, that is going to be about 14,500. So 725 is what you get to spend on each of those. So let's see how this is going to pan out. Okay, so now going to your promotions and sales. So here, let's look at print media. This is a poor method for promoting your products. So let's say leave it at 0. Direct mail, your performance product poor. So let's leave this at 0. Web media is about 500 as the maximum, but this is a good mechanism. So if I put 500 in here, for example, and email, so this is 600 and this is good. So 600, and trade shows are fair for performance and 300 maximum, let's say 100. So my maximum budget that you could have allocated here was 700 combined. Sales and promotion was 1,400, but this is significantly high. So what I have to do is I have to trim this budget a little bit. So I'll leave this at 100. So let's say I'll say 400 here and 300 here. So that brings it down to about 800. So let's see where we are. We're a little bit above 50% or 51%. So that's fair enough, despite because we are spending still about $50 or $50,000 more than what we actually anticipated. Now let's look at performance. High is going to be inside sales. Outside sales is medium and low is distribution. So we'll leave 0 at distribution. We are starting with 24%, 24.8% at your accessibility. Let's try to bring it at least about 15%. So outside was medium, inside was maximum, 50,000 per person, 30,000, 30 maximum. So let's say we give 12. So that's going to be putting us at 6,000 or 60,000. Let's say we started at 27. So we right now increased by 11%. So we have about $125,000. So let's say this was medium. So let's get one of them. So that's 725 because we already exceeded the budget here. So right now we are about 41% is where we are. We started at 28. We increased this by. So let's be a little bit more, let's increase this by another 2. So that's going to be putting us again about $100,000 more than what we wanted to do. So that's only increased this by about 1%. Let's see what happens if I actually allocate that to the medium. Okay, so that's instead of 100, that's going to be putting us at 9,850. So that increased a little bit more. So probably let's assume that this is a better judicious use of our resources. So moving on, so 850, so this is about 43%. We're not trying to take over the market here because some of them will actually drop out of the production cycle here because of the difficulty in making the numbers. So now let's look at this. So here we have 600 units of capacity, first shift capacity. That means we can produce 600 in first shift, 600 in second shift. Our contribution margins are pretty low. Despite because the labor cost is pretty high here. We're not producing anything in the second shift. So therefore, we'll try to manage these costs really well. So now so forecast is 420. We have 78 in hand. So we need to produce 343 units. So let's go ahead and produce 343 units. So once I produce 343 units, I'm losing 3 units. I'm adding that back here. So 346. So our production after schedule is 343. This plus this equals my forecast because 3 units were discarded because they were defective and did not meet the standards. Now, I'm not using my full capacity and I want to automate my plants a little bit. So let's say, I'm automating my plant for a little bit because I don't want to pay such a high labor cost because look at my material costs. Okay, this is despite me reducing my MTBF by about 100. And here, MTBF, high-end product 5260, look at the contribution margin. So I want to lower my labor costs. So in the future round, so I'm actually trying to put automation to 5.0. I have to be careful here because I'm reaching the maximum limit here. So that's 4,800. So now 600 is the capacity what I have. So first shift and second shift together, I can produce up to 1,200 units. When am I going to produce 1,200 units? 943 is the maximum I'll be producing at parity demand. So let's assume that I'm not going to use that. So I'm going to reduce this by 150 to make sure that I have some amount of money to pay for my automation. See this requirement reduced, because some of the capacity reduction lowered my cost, plus some of the capacity reduction sold that capacity at salvage value that pays for some of the automation. So thereby, I'm pretty good here with some amount of ability to pay for my size product if I need to. So now with this, what we actually need to look at is your pro forma income statement, trying to see where we are with this. So we are making profit in each of these segments, and we are still making some profit on your performance product despite the difficult situations here. So therefore, we'll leave the decisions for round one this way. And then that is it for your performance. So now it's time to upload your official decisions for your performance products. So this concludes your performance product. I hope you learned something here. And in the next videos, I will go over the size product and how to deal with that. Thank you.